Alright, my YouTube family, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and as we roll into next week, my fellow agents, I wanted to continue the series at the channel where I highlight a few builds that I'm using on a regular basis, as I do receive messages here at the channel asking me what are my go-to builds, so I did want to share a few of them with you today. Now, one thing I'd like to mention as we start this build video off is that I'm going to be going out of town today, which is Sunday the 14th. I'll be back on Thursday the 17th, so I will be pre-recording a few build videos, and if anything happens in the world of the Division 2, I promise to bring you up to speed as soon as I get back. Now, with all that being said, let's jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out, and if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now, starting with the specialization, I am using Gunner, using that for a bunch of different reasons. However, the primary one is because it gives me access to the Banshee Pulse, which I use non-stop in this version of the build. You also get a reload speed increase, a rate of fire increase, some extra armor on kill, and always remember, regardless of the specialization you choose, have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. So the main reason I've chosen this build to highlight today is because a lot of you have reached out asking me what is my go-to build in the game right now regardless of what I'm doing. Open world, countdown, different activities, things like that, and this is the one I use 90% of the time. Now, I do want to highlight the fact that you will see the global modifiers active in the gameplay footage. However, to be very clear, I've highlighted this build in the past without any modifiers whatsoever, so I can promise regardless of when you see this, this is a build that can definitely get the job done. Now, as you saw a moment ago, my primary weapon is St. Elmo's engine. That is completely interchangeable. You can use your favorite weapon there. Making our way to the gear itself, you can see we're running 4 Striker, 1 Fenris, and the Catharsis Mask, and this is one of the best exotics in the game because of its talent Vicious Cycle. Taking damage is going to build stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack earns 1.5% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud, which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. Again, this is great for solo or if you're running in a group. Moving on to the body armor, it is the one piece of Fenris that is going to give us an extra 10% AR damage bonus, and you can see I am using the talent Obliterate. And with that talent, critical hits increase weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. And one thing you'll notice is on every single piece of gear, I'm trying to stack crit hit chance and crit hit damage everywhere I can. Next, we have the holster, the knee pads, the gloves, and the backpack, which are the 4 pieces of the Striker gear set. We're running 4 so we get all of the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces 15% rate of fire, 4 pieces Striker's Gamble. And with that talent, weapon hits are going to increase weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. Now, one thing I'd like to highlight really quick is you can see I'm sitting at 1.5 million armor because I just kind of like that tanky build that actually puts out damage as well. But I know for many players out there, you're looking at this build and you're thinking, forget this shit. I want more weapon damage, which totally makes sense. And this is why I say in every build video I put together, remember this is just a template. The most important thing is to truly take your time, make a build your own, try out different variations, and see which one works for you. Now, finally, we have the Striker backpack, and because we're wearing that, we do have access to the talent risk management, and that is going to increase the total weapon damage gain per stack of Striker's Gamble from 0.65% to 0.90%. My skills are the Banshee Pulse as well as the Assault Drone, and when we look at the modifiers, you can see I'm using Microwave Coils, Aggressive Drone, as well as Critical Recovery. Hope this video helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Now at this point, we're going to jump to some gameplay footage of the build in action. After that, you will see another build breakdown. I just want to revisit another build that I posted probably about a month ago, but again, this is something I'm using non-stop in the game. And as I leave you with this footage, the last thing I need to say, and I know I say this in every video, but I cannot thank you enough for your incredible support over the years. It's a very exciting time here at the channel. You know, I started this thing as a hobby. It's turning into so much more. We've created a toxic-free gaming environment, and I have you to thank, my fellow agents. I cannot stress that enough. This channel is nothing without you and your support, so please understand how much I truly appreciate it. On that note, I want to take a moment as always and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Now, as always, we're going to jump right into the build breakdown, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out, and if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now with the specialization, I'm using Gunner, and the main reason for that is because it does give me access to the Banshee Pulse, which I like to switch to on the fly depending on what I'm doing in the game. You do have different options as well, but always remember, regardless of the specialization you choose, have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Now, based on the title of this video, you know that my primary weapon is the Pestilence. This is a must-have exotic for every person out there. And I don't know what's taken me so long, or why, excuse me, it took me so long to use this thing on a regular basis. But now that I have, I don't think I can stop using it. Now, the reason it is so effective is because of its talent, Plague of the Outcast. And with that talent, hits applied debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This is going to stack up to 50 times. And whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to the next enemy within 25 meters. Now, like a lot of players out there, I find myself getting into this pattern where I use the same primary weapon non-stop, you know? I mean, I did that with the Scorpio, I did that with St. Elmo's, and when I actually branch out and try different weapons, it's so much damn fun. So anyway, I do recommend you try this thing out. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm running 3 Lengmo, 1 Overlord, 1 Petrov, and the Coyote's Mask, which you can see on screen right now. Now once again, just like the Pestilence, this is a must-have exotic, and thankfully both of these are in the general loot pool. So for those of you out there who may be trying to pick up one of these items, I recommend hitting up the Summit or Countdown, set your targeted loot accordingly. Wish you nothing but the best of luck. Now the reason this is so effective is because of its talent pack instincts, and that is going to give you a crit hit chance and or a crit hit damage bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. And when you're rolling in a group, you can have all 3 of those running at the same time. It's absolutely insane. Now moving on to the body armor, it is the first of 3 pieces of Lengmo, and we're running 3 so we get all brand set bonuses because we are targeting that third one, which is 30% LMG damage. We're using the talent Obliterate, where critical hits are going to increase weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. Now, one thing I'd like to point out with this build is that a lot of these pieces are not even close to being fully optimized, and that's because I just picked up some of this shit the other day, and I got to keep farming to upgrade it, you know what I mean? So even if you do not have a perfect build, it can still get the job done. Next, we have the holster, which is the second piece of Lengmo. Moving on to the knee pads, they are the Fox's Prayer knee pads. We are using these for that middle attribute, 8% damage to targets out of cover. Continuing on to the gloves, we're using the Contractor's gloves, 1 piece of Petrov. That's going to give us that extra LMG damage bonus, plus that middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. Last but not least, we have the final piece of Lengmo. We're using the Backbone Backpack, and it has the talent Perfectly Unstoppable Force. And with that talent, killing an enemy is going to increase total weapon damage by 7% for 15 seconds. It stacks up to 5 times. And I'll also point out the fact that this has hazard protection. I don't want that. I'm trying to farm for a double crit Backbone Backpack. I do not have any luck whatsoever. Gonna keep at it, my fellow agents. Moving on to the skills themselves, I'm using a combination of the Assault Drone and the Banshee Pulse. Finally, if I happen to be using global modifiers, my active modifier is Overdrive. We have Microwave Coils, Aggressive Drone, and Critical Recovery. Now, as we make our way to the gameplay footage, I want to mention the fact that even if you do not use any global modifiers whatsoever, this build is still going to get the job done. And if you happen to use them, remember it's all relative. Yes, you are stronger when these are active, but so are the NPC. I mean, they have a faster movement speed, faster rate of fire, faster armor regen. It can get sideways really quick, so make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Hope this video helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and commentary. However, as always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Good morning once again, my fellow agents. I gotta get used to running with this weapon, but man, I'm addicted. Do me a favor, let me know in the comment section how many of you out there just find yourself, and I know I said this earlier, just using the same weapon over and over again, then you actually switch to something different, totally changes your gameplay. And then you kind of realize how bad your aim is, at least I do. But anyway, one thing you'll notice really quick as I leave you with the footage, that I do not have the global modifiers active. Now, as you've heard me say previously, I'm running with them pretty much non-stop, but I always want to highlight the fact that you don't need them on in order to put builds together. It's something that is insanely fun to use in my opinion. But once again, to be very clear, they are not required for any build whatsoever. It just makes it really fun to use if you happen to turn them on. That's it for my part in this video, my fellow agents. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.
Your target. Target neutralized. Good work. Thank you for keeping us safe, Agent.